tonight on Focal Point.
This community has been neglected since the inception of the state. You're talking about really, really devastating impacts in terms of saving people's lives, people who are the most vulnerable, people with poor mental health, people who aren't going to work. What we're saying is we're not going to accept 1% of a cut.
It's a challenge for young people now in today's job market, but they have a lot to offer, but they also need to develop the core skill set that will make them more attractive to employers around communication, collaboration, interpersonal skills, creativity, and what we're doing with Skills Today helps them to develop those important capabilities.
There's currently just under 20,000 people with dementia here in Northern Ireland, and that is set to increase by the year 2051. That's 61,000 people in Northern Ireland will have a diagnosis of dementia.
I'm her sole carer, very much on my own, and it is 24/7. There's no getting away from it.
We just had the NOR 2015 Student Chef of the Year, and we won the bid this year to host it in Northern Ireland. It's been running for 17 years down south, and this is the first year that's ever came to North, and we're delighted to have it.
It really does give students something else to strive for other than sort of doing well at college.
And really nurturing them and getting them back out there in the industry and sort of developing Northern Ireland as the culinary capital for the UK.
The boxes that have been placed around Belfast are in response to the continuing existence of homelessness in Belfast.
I think it's a fantastic idea, and I think there should be a lot more actually dotted around the place. I mean, they're homeless through no fault of their own at times.
An seo in áit le Belfast go bhfuil stáisiún pobl is cum céantanga ina bhfuil siad ach tugann seo deis go daoine nach bhfuil deis acu a gúnaí, tugann seo ardán go grúpaí nach bhfuil ardán acu in áit chéile.
The council passed the motion with regards to the real jobs now clauses.
A clause that's actually put into employer contracts in which they have to create employment and training and opportunities for people within community areas.
The only problem is it hasn't been implemented to the full as what we had intended.
Because if you've got the produce and if you've got the talent and if you want to work at it, you can succeed, and I think it is going to succeed.
All parties, bar the Alliance Party, voted in favour to retain the premium, and that's for St Mary's in the heart of West Belfast and Sir Mullis in South Belfast, and I think that is a good sign. I think it's good government. I think it's the only decision that could have been taken. It now saves St Mary's and it also saves Sir Mullis.
We did this in Culloden Hotel, and we did the 1920s murder.
It takes you through a crime scene and essentially you guess who done it.
First event for the first festival is celebrating one of probably the best scientists ever come from these shores.
John Bell has been named as one of the top 10 physicists of the last century, and the reason for that is because he was able to understand the nature of reality in a way that even Einstein couldn't.
Part of our work with the Upper Springfield Development Trust Youth Team, one of our core issues around improving the participation of young people. And just prior to Christmas, we organised an extensive participative consultation with young people. And part of the purpose of that was around speaking to young people and getting their opinions on the issues that affect them, with the sole purpose of helping us as a community, in terms of youth provision, design how we deliver services. Now, obviously, ironically, in the run-up to this, actually finalising this event, the local community have been informed by the Department for Social Development through their Belfast Regeneration Office that there will be up to 40% cuts in the area, which will be affecting a lot of the issues that the young people highlighted in relation to the youth consultation. So some of the issues highlighted included mental health provision, lack of youth provision, lack of quality educational provision, lack of support for young people not in education or employment. So a lot of those issues were being flagged up.
Well, as a young person growing up in the around the Upper Springfield area, I made use of quite a few youth clubs from around here. New Hill Youth Club, just on the Mount Oney Road, and Corpus Christi Youth Club in Ballymurphy. And I would also have engaged in quite a few courses run by the Upper Springfield Development Trust, just at the very top of the White Rock. There's certainly a lot of personal development that goes on in through these kind of courses for young people. In an area of such great deprivation, it gives young people a place to go, and a place where young people's voices are heard and recognised and actually listened to. Their opinions are valid and respected.
I mean, there's two core parts to this impact. I mean, it's been communicated to us as a 40% cut. But in actual fact, for some of the organisations involved, you're talking about a 100% cut.
Well, especially because our class is such a depraved area, we get to use personal development, and it keeps us off the street, and we get to learn develop ourselves. It keeps us from getting into anything antisocial, or we learn about the culture. And especially with these cuts coming in, 40%, like it already is a depraved area, so cutting 40% of it, especially with my youth club, that would be cut down to one night a week. That means we would have more time on the streets, we wouldn't get as much classes to educate us about like personal development classes.
My major concern is that young people will be left with nowhere to go. We're going to see young people forced to stand on the streets where they've nowhere to socialise with one another, they've nowhere to go and discuss topical issues or even just have fun with one another. So it could see a lot of people forced into antisocial behaviour, those kind of elements, and that's not good. It's certainly not for this area anyway, of such great deprivation.
The Upper Springfield area consists of some of the most depraved areas in the north of Ireland. If you remove youth provision in an area which obviously has high levels of young people who are disengaged and marginalised and already feel excluded, then the knock-on effect of that could be catastrophic. I mean, in basic investment terms, we know, for example, that it costs somewhere in the region of £50,000 to £80,000 to keep a young person within the criminal justice system. I mean, the work that youth workers do, for example, in terms of supporting young people and keeping them out of the criminal justice system and supporting them to become well-rounded, upstanding members of the community, saves tens of thousands in the long term.
Well, I think if enough of us come together and they see how important, because they genuinely are really, really important to all the young people in the Upper Springfield, Turflodge, Ballymurphy.
The community services are almost bridging the gap, if you like. So what happens if those services go? I mean, no one can really tell, and I don't want to scaremonger, but you're talking about really, really devastating impacts in terms of saving people's lives, people who are the most vulnerable, people with poor mental health, people who aren't in work, people who are already on the breadline in relation to accessing food parcels and all this type of stuff. So in terms of impact on the area, it's very, very difficult to say, but what we're saying is we're not going to accept 1% of a cut, because this area has already suffered for too long.
We've brought two schools together to work with some professionals for the day, developing that creativity into a bit more analytical and objective thinking, and how to develop their ideas into actual tangible things, services and products and ideas, and try to push them to stick to their ideas and hopefully come up with something new and earth-shattering.
We've been doing a program about learning how we can invent a product and progress a business on, and possibly even make a business, and it's been very helpful, so it has.
So I found a vision path to work with employers and develop programs where we bring together professionals and young people, helping them learn new skills by working together. It's as much about helping professionals develop their core skills as it is about helping young people learn key skills for the future. The world of work is changing and it's evolving all the time. Young people now, their generation, are digitally literate, they're digital natives, but there's still a great number of soft skills that they need to harness and develop, and the classroom isn't always the best place to do that. Coming into companies like Allen & Overy, working with guys from law firms like A&O, with guys like PwC on the accountancy side, getting a chance to have different expertise and skill sets to benefit from. They get a chance to develop their communication skills, their collaboration skills, their interpersonal skills, all of which are important in the world of work, but the classroom isn't always the best place to learn and develop those skills. So we create these experiences, facilitated learning experiences with professionals from these great businesses, bring them together with young people who need these new skills and help them learn from each other.
I think the earlier people start gives them a better opportunity to work with as many mentors and many people of influence, such as those that we can provide in this platform here today. I think it's it's very, very important that we people consider a range of different employment opportunities, and I think we should embrace entrepreneurship as opposed to going into direct employment. I think there's a lot of opportunities out there, and I think students should look across the full spectrum of areas that they can get into.
I think a lot of young people have a lot of ideas up there already. They just don't really have a way of channeling their creativity and their enterprising spirit. We, through Skill, try to bring them an opportunity to channel those ideas, but use that as a means not only of building their own understanding of problem solving, but also to develop those core skills and understanding that great ideas are relevant not just in an entrepreneurial capacity, but in a professional or vocational career as well. It's important that young people from as early an age as possible are starting to develop the skills that will make them more employable, and programs like Skill and working with ANO and PwC means that together we can help young people become more employable in the future.
Well, the product we decided to spitball was about a fridge and how we can save money on the fridge and save food wastage. And it's just a wee device connected to the fridge that scans foods, and it'll be then relay the data onto an app connected to your phone, and they'll send you notifications of the date, the use by dates, and the quantity of the food.
The first step we had to do was think of something that would benefit the environment or us. So we had the fridge, obviously, and we were thinking, well, if you're out in the shops, how do you know what you need from the fridge? So we thought of this app that could tell us what was in the fridge, obviously the use by dates, and what we'd need. It could also make suggestions. So it would know if you were low on milk or butter, it would tell us.
Like, we've got like an app to track where your bus is and how many seats is on the bus and all, and so it's not overcrowded for you to wait for so long.
We see a lot of apps from our programs increasingly in the last 18 months, which is kind of a sign of their digital literacy and understanding. Today we've got ideas like bus tracking apps, helping them understand real-time bus information and where buses are so they're not late for school. But equally in previous sessions we've had products like alarm clocks that throw shapes out so that you have to gather them up before you can switch off because they can't get up for school in the morning. We've had a whole range of different ideas.
Well, the advice they've given us is to be confident, and the ideas won't always come straight to head. So to start thinking and share ideas, because every idea could be a potential winning product.
To believe in yourself and just do what you want to do and be confident.
It's a challenge for young people now in today's job market, but they have a lot to offer, but they also need to develop the core skill set that will make them more attractive to employers around communication, collaboration, interpersonal skills, creativity, and what we're doing with Skill today helps them to develop those important capabilities.
The Dementia Services Development Centre in Northern Ireland wants to know what people think about dementia. And that's why at the launch of a new book called Dementia, the One-Stop Guide, we're inviting people to come and talk to us about what they think about dementia. When someone's been diagnosed with dementia, it's as if no one ever did that journey before. So they have to find out things like what to do about finance and what things to do about finding a care home if that becomes necessary. But one of the most difficult things to find out is information about how to keep yourself well at home, how to delay symptoms. And carers are really important. Carers are given this big job of looking after someone. They haven't asked for that job and they're given no instruction on how to do it. So we hope that carers will find this book useful in telling them the sorts of things that will make their lives easier.
There's lots of issues surrounding dementia at the moment here in Northern Ireland. The dementia is rising quite rapidly. There's currently just under 20,000 people with dementia here in Northern Ireland, and that is set to increase by the year 2051. That's 61,000 people in Northern Ireland will have a diagnosis of dementia.
The Big Ask event here in the Europa is about giving people the opportunity to talk face-to-face with experts. So it's like a drop-in. There'll be plenty of cups of tea and coffee available and people will get the chance to talk. And I'm hoping that people will be able to raise questions about dementia and be given a signpost to where they can get local solutions to the problems that they face. We don't know exactly how many people are going to come, but everyone will get the chance to talk and to share about the issues that face them when they're either living with dementia or looking after someone who does have dementia.
When we became aware that Pamela had developed dementia, we'd been married for 57 years and had always argued with each other. And once a person gets dementia, the advice is you do not argue. You do not confront them. You always agree with them and listen to what they say. And it's quite difficult at times, instead of being confrontational, to go the other way, go with them. And be very careful what sort of question you ask them. The only questions you can ask are yes or no. I'm her sole carer. There's just the two of us. Our two daughters live on the other island, so there's no immediate relatives around, and so I'm very much on my own. And it is 24/7. There's no getting away from it. From the moment you get up until you get your partner to bed. So it can be very demanding.
The challenges are that the services, the number of people are expected to rise to 61,000, and the cost of dementia will rise, and people are facing financial difficulties at present, difficulties with managing people at home, acute hospital admissions, and that will set to rise if things are not being done to support people with dementia and their carers.
When someone's diagnosed with dementia, it's a terrible thing, and quite often people find it very hard to get information. So this book pulls together information in one place. It took me about 6 months to write it, and people who've been diagnosed and their carers don't have that amount of time, so we've put that information all in one book so that they've got something that will help them at what is a very difficult time.
There's lots of services available that once a person gets a diagnosis, and it's where they go from a diagnosis. They've got the likes of the Alzheimer's Society, Age&I, Age UK, and you've got ourselves who could offer support, and also the one-stop guide, which would give a lot of information on where to get support and how to manage maybe symptoms and live well with dementia.
What tips can you offer other carers that maybe have just had their partner diagnosed with dementia?
Go out and meet other carers. There are a number of groups available now that meet regularly, and I find that very beneficial.
When someone's diagnosed with dementia, it's a really difficult time, and sometimes it's very hard to get information. So we've written a book here which we hope is full of practical and sensible advice for people who are affected by dementia. And today we're bringing a lot of people together who we hope will get the chance to talk one-to-one with dementia experts to raise their problems. And we want them also to take part in a big survey called The Big Ask, which is going to be on our website for a long time, so they can tell us what we need to be doing next about dementia.
The NOR 2015 Student Chef of the Year. We won the bid this year to host it in Northern Ireland. It's been running for 17 years down south, and this is the first year that's ever came to North, and we're delighted to have it.
I've always thought that competitions are they're a really good thing to do, because they get you out of your environment. You know, you're at college, you're in the restaurant or whatever, you're working very methodically, and competitions sort of like strip all that back. Suddenly you're under time pressures in an environment you don't necessarily know. So it's a really, really good way of training and learning something new.
This is the first time this event has been held here. How significant is this?
I think it's a great thing to have. To see 15 different colleges here today is a fantastic thing.
It's very beneficial because it creates confidence, it creates a sense of enjoyment, well-being, a sense of that you're you're needed, that your talents are welcomed, and people do feel excited that you're doing well.
How long have you been interested in cooking, and why pursue it as a profession?
I've always been interested in cooking ever since I was very young, but I had been working in IT before, and then I just packed it all in and went back to college to become a chef, because that's where my passion was and that's where I wanted to be.
Would you feel as if there is enough education and training for chefs? And can a good chef be really taught, or is it a talent that you just have or you don't?
It's kind of a bit of both, I think. You know, if you have to have kind of a natural ability, and after that then that can be shaped. That's my opinion anyway. I don't think it's something that, to be a really good chef, I think it needs to be a bit of both. You can't be taught everything. You have to have kind of an instinct and go with that.
I mean, you do have to have a talent, but of course it's backed up by hard work. You need to work hard and have that sort of support from your lecturers and stuff to work on it and improve.
Now it's much more significant as a job and a career, and young people now can actually hold their heads up high, and you know, people at school who are getting 2-3 A levels or no GCSEs, it will all be, you know, thrown into the pot of you know, the catering world, and whether they want to go to high-end fast food, you know, education sector, healthcare sector, you know, there's so much scope out there for people to do.
I think there is. I think chefs are now becoming more like doctors. I think everyone is starting to become foodies. Everyone knows what they want to eat, they know what they want to pay. So we need to have chefs in there who know what they're actually doing.
And is there demand for high quality chefs with creativity, skill and imagination? Are they the main things, or is it all hard work?
Chefs really need to have sort of passion, drive, and they need to be able to listen.
What can you take away from this competition? What have you learned from today?
I mean, I've learned a lot of different techniques, and I've worked with a few amazing chefs who's been training me for this competition. So yeah, I've learned a lot of new skills and techniques.
Time management, be organised, just get the head down, like don't let anybody else bother you, just get the head down yourself, work away and just do your own thing, be confident in what you're doing, and don't let anybody else's dishes kind of phase you or confuse you, you know what I mean? So I think that's the major thing I'll take away.
And what words of wisdom would you impart to the people who are striving to be as successful as yourself in the chef world?
In this day and age, it's very easy to get carried away with like TV and all that sort of thing. So many young people now I see come up, and you know, they want to know how to get their own TV cookery show and all that sort of thing. And actually, what it's about is about being passionate about food, working hard, and learning. You know, keep things simple as well. Don't sort of rush straight into, you know, a scientific style food thing. You have to learn the basics first, and that's what I say in all these competitions. I'm ambassador for National Young Chef of the Year as well, and the first thing we say to those guys when we're giving them some advice is don't go too mad on the technological side of food. Keep it simple, show your classic techniques but do them perfectly well, and I think that's what I would advise young kids leaving college now.
And what outcomes do you hope to see as a result of this event?
There's certain things, you know, that happen that can only bring good things. Even though there's probably a few people here that are a bit deflated because they didn't get anywhere in their minds, they actually got somewhere brilliantly because they were involved in this competition, and you know, they can take loads of stuff away, feedback afterwards. You know, what did I do wrong, or what did I do right? Even it's all a great experience, and anyone here today should be very proud of themselves and take that experience away and think about it positively.
I would love to see more enrolments come September. Belfast Met sort of taking more and more sort of talented young people into our sort of just into the college and really nurturing them and getting them back out there in the industry and sort of developing Northern Ireland as the culinary capital for the UK.
Homelessness does exist. It exists everywhere, but in Belfast in particular. I work particularly alongside families, but the Salvation Army as an organisation provide accommodation and support to families and single men who are homeless here in Belfast.
The key thing to understand about homelessness is that quite often people think about those that are found directly sleeping on the streets, but actually that's a tiny proportion of the total number of people that are actually affected by homelessness. We know over 18,000 people presented themselves to the Northern Ireland Housing Executive last year suffering from a homelessness problem.
It's not just an individual is homeless, it could be any person It could be a young person, it could be an elderly person, it could be a family, and a variety of reasons why anybody could find themselves in that unfortunate position. They would range from marital breakdown, family breakdown, maybe problems with mortgages, domestic violence, intimidation, and the list goes on.
But what we have found at the Simon community is it's never just one issue. There's usually a number of background factors.
The boxes that have been placed around Belfast are in response to the continuing existence of homelessness in Belfast. Whether the actual provision of boxes is going to help people on a long-term basis, I very much doubt, but it is in response to people. It is an alternative than sleeping in the street.
What would your opinion be on this pod for the homeless people?
I think it's a great idea. There should probably be more of them about. I know there was talks of one being up and things getting moved and stuff, but I think, you know, the more you can do to help them, what's wrong with that?
Do you think it's a good idea for the homeless people?
I really don't think it's a good idea.
No?
Because it's cold, you know?
Yeah.
They should have something like shelter, I can say.
I think it's a fantastic idea, and I think there should be a lot more actually dotted around the place. I mean, they're homeless through no fault of their own at times, and I mean, especially with the cold nights there, too dangerous to let them lie out in the street. So I think it's a great idea, and they're aesthetically pleasing to the eye, so I don't see any problems in them at all.
It's a good thing in a way, but at the same time I think there should be places for them. Like what about, you know, Salvation Army and stuff like that? I don't really agree and I don't agree.
Certainly the pods, as I think they're called, have focused people in on homelessness, and I suppose anything that allows a debate with regard to homelessness and brings the wider society's attention towards it must be a good thing. However, I think these pods, although well-meaning, are in fact going down an opposite way to which the Housing Executive and their homeless strategy would want to go with regard to combating street homelessness. These pods, they might well be dangerous in so much as they will actually keep people on the streets, where our whole approach, and the approach of the sector in general, is to move them from the streets into a place of safety. But I do think the people that designed them and left them there probably were very well-meaning in what they're doing. And if those people would like to come forward and speak with us, at the minute we're not quite sure who these people are, we'd be only too willing to do so.
There are lots of organisations that exist in Belfast that are working very, very hard to try and eradicate the problem of homelessness.
Ládón de radio is rud tá tosithe ag UNESCO. Thocra sé ceithre bhliain ó hen inis go gcuir sé tús le lá leis an táhacht le radio a haspans. An bhliain seo dá bhíolas a cúig siad rénig siad mar heama daoine óga agus an radio agus tá siad san na géirí go méo daoine óg ghlacha isteach sa radio go digi siad san an táhacht go digi siad san go bhfuil ardan an seo fan na conne go digi siad go bhfuil éitsin sin gur féidir le na skillanna a aimsú go bhfuil éitsin sin gur féidir le a céad barolacha a chur chun tosaigh. So sin an fá gur thugmuid curú an seo a radio fáilte nniu den na scolanna ar fád i má firstin tá muid gúin sé ó seachta bhliain teachtasteach agus siúlthart an radio cóisteach dean get ba craolú Lord leis na craoltarí dé beoar an radio agus just fecal go dé mar a hen rudí a rá agus má tá sim acu tarasteach agus seisiún trinal dhéanú.
Chastaing cinna láchan spáns gona daltaí scala go bhfuilmid an se agus ní díadach sean daoine a bhíams ar an air nó daoine ní sinne ar tatú séideag tá chalóna sean ach so hastaing a chuirteisteach is spánsrób gur féidir loíana tá se soch éasca rób agus iad ag duna tafad le phones agus iPads agus ruí mar sin ní hógann se a bhád orthú dolig lecht ar an trealamh atá an se agus tasíhain níos mú acu a haingsisteach sa radio. Ach an rud faoi an lá seo ná is ceile atá an seo
Tosin ruddy Jay Clog by Creely Bia on a Jay Balhalik Freeds the Kahar Creeltree Oga stay Glocky Shell and radio by shades and Creely Mulmore ruddy differently by Cardlin your shill coming a ruddy's talk Dave as a tarlin you know may Mulmore Cardlin is the studio Bia studio rail half of it a garker grey head different the jazz na fuma play the level of her Foster by Cardlin O'Heave Agar acted a TV Bidger and Yalandini Jarmada O'Heave and radio de Cardlin on le O'Heave Creely Shack Doctor can you resell a curl kit la kila current TV technical kila which here radio on the Gale Tafta radio on Lefa was near FM going which a co-Creely August la kila McCart's the Clar running be also a bay Delny current August running Mackie Wee a current Clar la kila a current Clar a lahar August Bishan Allward by Gactin Justin Shaw, Bisha Gullmach Marhan, Fud na Heron, August Nis Fudge again, August is Rud Starl doing a Lonnihan Shaw, August Mudgina Hannah Wine Canal Bidger bunch grim as cool or Jerry Cotta then again ach which a Larnini, Radio Falcha Larnini, Earn La, August Bisher Doy, Tassildi.
Tá stáisiún pobl cos le radioáilte an táhachtach an seo go hádaithe is cinál is munlach atá I bobbal na Gaeilge in áréide agus tugann se áiscoin chun durmaí a nachta agus na barúlachaí atá ag muintear phobal na Gaeilge a chuircin cín agus tá sam nach bhfuil mud acha críola a ggur pobl iarthar bheith feriste dar le afcam agus rudí mar sin ach maiálar an Idirlín. Thomas and Ish a Creela Gadini Airfoot na Crania if muds literally why an inland agus Medica agus been Dini shoulder reafusni hagan. So being Dini agaistel.
Scale sogum to the radio falcha V May or college first and more galta snurvy radio falcha Lonnie sa Culterland. Hossi Johnny Clar Shachtaniel Clar Shachtaniel Kenil Kill Alternach V Misty Jonah, Hossi Mission Remission Shacknil for Trino Carablina, when my aunt Saltas, who may have no whole scholar, hits my mahas roddy, my Johnny Rodiala, action Hanig post Kuntor Krillahine, and they scour jag the radio falter post part time a Hanig Shin East, who may find the entire ongoing post, August so Shindoi get on Miss Jahar radio falter, August my own Kenil Nishka part time Punch Aunt Saltas, yeah, Punch Aunt Saltas or Fod.
August Tasha Intach Tavachtach, and Shaw in Art Cosala Bell Fellishte, Will Station Pobble. It's come a Kentanga and it will said ach tugann se deis go daoine nach bhfuil deis acu a gúnaí le stáisiún pobl tá tú ná de chum hain a riint agus tugann se ardan go grúpaí nach bhfuil ardan acu in átricha eile.
Is dóigh Jerryman le stáisiún radio bíon kidhhaid crack ceol play disparachtaí barolacha crackle le go ra rudí a hen amach and there's right in the same is Fedra like a clinchant the stay at the station here.
Two and a half years ago, a group of us with regards to long-term unemployed people met at PPR and started to discuss issues with regards to what long-term unemployment means to us. We then went around every dole office in Belfast. We got support from over 2,000 people to say that they supported our motion with regards to trying to get Belfast City Council to implement social clauses within their tenders, and that's how it started. We then contacted all the political parties in Belfast City Council. We have met with the majority of them and we got them all to agree to it. And in the 6th of January last year, the council passed the motion with regards to the real jobs now clauses. The only problem is it hasn't been implemented to the full as what we had intended.
Well, the Right to Work campaign is it's a motion that's been adopted by Belfast City Council that they will ensure that there is employment there for local people. But the unfortunate thing is that unless they put a budget beside that there and put some actions along it, and then they can't implement it. So I think that today is great that we've got so many people in the room that are interested in the campaign, and it's great that people can get some fire in their belly to make sure the campaign continues. And it's up to us to make sure that the council, local council and government put a budget towards this here and actually put some some real campaigning behind it and implement it.
I believe that a lot of issues were raised, I suppose, in welfare and reform, potential worries about things that are going to happen in the future. You know, things are bad now at the moment when we don't believe things are being implemented as they should. You know, a lot of valid points were made as to what it's going to be like in the future when a lot of the new processes are put into place. So I do feel that the actual Real Jobs programme is actually a great initiative for community organisations who are working on the front line, you know, to gather information to help us work towards a better future.
Well, what we've got to do is we're going to have to keep the pressure on Belfast City Council to ensure that the social clauses are monitored whenever they're brought in, and they're brought in effectively. We have to ensure that they're monitored properly, have monthly checks, try and ensure that whenever someone does get a job, that they're there for a specific time and that they do the course for how long the job's going. So in other words, if there's a building site and the building site is going for 5 years, we would hope that a long-term unemployed people would have jobs for 5 years. Then obviously after that contract ended, hopefully they'd move on with the company to other prospects.
Well, we have very high levels of unemployment, particularly in some pockets of what they call high deprivation areas. But I think what's going to happen with the welfare reform cuts that are going to come in and with the current ESF funding programmes, the government, with the cuts that they have to implement, they're going to take whatever money they can that was for community and voluntary sector and prop up themselves and their FE colleges and all of that. And that's going to have a really, really negative impact for people. It's going to have a very negative impact for women in terms of the welfare reform and how people are going to be able to access benefits and the sanctions that are going to come out. It's a very grim picture out there.
Well, the social clause is actually, it's a clause that's actually put into employer contracts in which they have to create employment and training and opportunities for people within community areas, especially in areas of deprivation and high unemployment levels. Those social clauses were actually implemented to give those people a chance to gain employment. From my own perspective, I suppose I can't really speak for anybody else. I haven't seen anybody within my own project gain employment or been given an opportunity to gain employment through the social clauses that's been implemented. I think the monitoring of it is very much needed in order to find out what's going wrong and what can be changed for the future.
I feel more upbeat because I think that we've now got more people on board. The people were all singing from the same hymn sheet. Even the councillors that was in the room are singing from the same hymn sheet. They're elected representatives within their own areas where they live to put the pressure on them to ensure that everything gets implemented the way it's supposed to and that Real Jobs now starts to work for the long-term unemployed people. So as these people can start contributing to their own communities in a way they've never done before.
Anyone that comes here that hasn't been here before, I've got friends in the UK, food writers come out here, Tom Parker Bowles came out here last year, and they're blown away by the quality of what's on offer. And I was telling them, you weren't lying. I was going, no, because if you're from somewhere and you tell someone about it, they kind of think you're getting caught up in where you're from. But the reality is there's something special here. We've got fantastic produce. We've got a blossoming restaurant scene. So we're just talking about how to promote it. I was talking about social media with a lady from Sweden who was talking about what they've done in her area of Sweden. The reality is money needs to be thrown at it and a lot of work needs to be done. But the good news is, once that's done, the produce is here, the people are here, the talent's here, and the will's here.
Well, I've started a project, initiated a project in the Northwest about 4 or 5 years ago now called the Irish Food Heritage Project. And what that does, that showcases the food produce to the world, you know, at an international sort of level. And we've also, the core product, that is a book, Feast or Famine. It has had rave reviews, and we just won a great local award there recently for the Gourmand World Cookbook Awards. We're actually shortlisted now for the best in the world in China in June, so it's great stuff, like, really, really well done.
Well, it is. It's a fantastic achievement in the sense that if you take where Northern Ireland has been for the past 40 years, you know, you'd have to say that we've been quite suppressed, even in our food. And now with all that, all the pieces, everything's moving forward, and all the talent has now got to blossom. And obviously with the great ingredients that have always been present here, it's now getting a chance through the chefs and through the small producers and small artisan producers like myself also, who are now getting the chance and the freedom of expression to get out there and do your thing.
If you look at the Great Taste Awards, over 100 companies from Northern Ireland won awards, so it would be very difficult. But if I had to pick, we have to look at our beef, because the two supreme champions that came from Northern Ireland in 2012 and 2013 both used beef, and that was McCartney's in Moira. And I think he beat off 8,800 other products. And then Peter Hannon from Moira as well the next year, and he beat off 10,000 products. So, you know, the beef is exceptional.
Finnebrogue venison, Loughney eel, Armagh cider, short cross gin, beef from Peter Hannon, you know, langoustines from Strangford Lough, the oysters, the mussels, you know, I could go on. The carrots, Cumber potatoes, you know, you got everything here, really.
As I say, you know, it's the great natural resources, the beautiful climate that we have, you know, the grass. I mean, if you travel to the places like America, the Americans are actually amazed at how our cattle is fed on grass, whereas theirs is fed on corn, you know, and they can't get over it when they come here, how green the land is, you know. So we've always had the best produce, we've always had the best great natural resources, you know, fishing and the sea, and we're so close to the coast here, so just, you know, it's all complete, it mixes everything here, so great stuff.
It's the rain or the 4 seasons we have every day that make it unique. They create the fantastic grass. I mean, we are world class at growing grass, and that makes fantastic beef, fantastic dairy, and that's a great foundation in which to build the rest of the industry.
I think it's an amazing achievement. It's great to see it. It's great to see Belfast and just Northern Ireland being recognised, you know, and these awards, to the Gourmand World Cookbook Awards, it really recognises the hard work and, you know, how our food, you know, does connect with people in places throughout the world, and how our food is the best in the world, and it's great to be recognised internationally, you know, so great stuff. No, it's great. Obviously we had not a less than positive pass, you know, and it'll take time, but I mean, and it's really about shouting out on the rooftops here about how good our food is, you know, but it will take time, but it's great to see it. There's a lot of movement in the likes of Fermanagh and the northwest, you know, and the border areas as well, you know, events like this here that will showcase it to the world, you know, so really it goes to the very bottom, you know, very core, where people, the government themselves, need to put money on it, you know, so it's all good.
There's fantastic hospitality here, you know, it's a great fun city. So that hospitality combined with the quality of the produce and the kind of what you've got here at St George's Market, and it's very unpretentious as well. I think that's what's great about it, you know.
All parties, bar the Alliance Party, voted in favour to retain the Premier, and that's for St Mary's in the heart of West Belfast and Stramallis in South Belfast, and I think that is a good sign. I think it's good government. I think it's the only decision that could have been taken. It now saves St Mary's and it also saves Stramallis.
Can you tell us a wee bit about the Premier that's been reinstated here in the school and the significance of it?
The Premier was put in place to allow a specialist college like ourselves in Stramallis to continue to produce high quality, give a high quality education, and it was taken under the basis that we were a small institution with smaller numbers, and the Premier was there to support that. To take the Premier away from ourselves in Stramallis, we made it very clear that we wouldn't be able to continue at St Mary's anyway. We can only speak for ourselves, I suppose. So I suppose the most important thing is that St Mary's will be here next year, as will Stramallis, in the same capacity. You know, St Mary's, the statistics speak for themselves. It's got a fantastic reputation. All the things we've heard about over the last few weeks, it just allows those things to continue. And you know, there are improvements to be made, which have been highlighted by different members at Stormont. So I suppose that's something we can work on now that we know that we have a bit more security.
The attack on the teaching colleges was opportunistic. The union is pleased that common sense has prevailed. The union agrees that we need to review how the colleges work together and integrate, but simply closing the doors would have a devastating effect on teaching as a whole. When Northern Ireland offers and boasts world-class teacher training institutions. Instead of capping places, we should be looking outwards and with a view to attracting and enticing students from elsewhere to come to Northern Ireland to benefit from the first-rate training that they will receive. Greater student numbers, coupled with the enhanced employment opportunities that a highly trained workforce is bound to attract, will ultimately reap significant economic benefits for Northern Ireland.
It is a university of excellence, St Mary's. I mean, we have seen the results coming from it year on year, where it's one of the top performing universities right across these islands, and I think is that it needs to be celebrated. I think what we have here, it needs to be enhanced, and I think the Minister needs to do more to protect institutions like this, because if they're working and they're working well. This is an economic regenerator for West Belfast, there's no doubt. Between 160 staff members and 1,000 students all coming on campus here all parts of the year. All the local shops, the local bars, restaurants all benefit from what we have this year on our doorstep.
Do you think that the Minister gave in to the pressure led by grassroots protests and rallies from the student body when coming to reversing this decision?
Well, the Minister didn't reverse his decision. The decision was taken out of his hands. Martin McGuinness and Peter Robinson brought this item back into the executive last week, and they voted and obviously to retain the premium.
The protests that the Students' Union and the students themselves really got behind really brought the issue into the public domain. I suppose for a long time it was kind of under the carpet, but the protest and the rally that we had, I suppose it brought light to it, it got media attention, and I think from that there was a lot of pressure on the Alliance Party and Stephen Farr in particular, which I thought we could see at different stages throughout the process. I suppose it shows how strongly the students felt about the issue, that they did come back out and they did support it and they did get behind it. So I suppose that answers the question with regards to where the support came from.
I think the students acting together and showing solidarity on this very important issue gives hope to not only students elsewhere, but also on the public services that are under threat.
It's recently been revealed that there's been additional money for the purse when it comes to public spending, and in particular in education. Where was this money found and what will it be used for?
Despite what may look like a better budget for schools, it seems that the money found to supposedly increase school spending has not taken into account the increased costs due to inflation and increasing services costs. Schools have been warned that they will have to make difficult decisions. There's still a £90 million reduction. Teachers and support staff will be laid off. Boards will barely be able to function. Things like after-school provision will be deteriorated.
The people who make the big decisions will understand the value of these institutions and of faith-based education, and maybe hopefully that'll keep adding to the security of the institutions.
There is big issues for all departments with regards to budgets, but it's clear to me anyway that you had 4 parties last week in the executive voting to save St Mary's and St Millis, and I think that's a good sign, not only for this year but for many years to come.
We started doing photography projects with a photographer called Carrie Davenport. She came in teaching us how to use cameras, digital cameras, and we went out and about taking photographs. But then she did one day in the studio, taking people's photograph, and we discovered that people enjoyed doing that more. They love getting into character and putting on a bit of a show.
It's a whodunit, told in pictures, worked out with the artist and the group, which is the Skyway Club, which has a good match with us as an organisation because it is also empowerment based. And it takes you through a crime scene and essentially you guess who done it. And we have the answer secreted in the exhibition underneath a curtain, so people work out the puzzle as they go around, and then they kind of make their minds up and then go and have a peek. Usually they're a bit surprised.
We did this in Culloden Hotel, and we did the 1920s murder, and we got dressed up, and Connor came and did our hairs for us, and the other girl came and did our makeup for us, And we stood behind the bar, pretend we was shaking the shaker. And then the others all did the murders as well.
We were given the stuff, and I was looking through it, and here didn't see the thing, the Reverend Green. So I said to myself, Granville, I might as well try.
So tell me about some of the things you've done with Skyway.
Cool.
And have you enjoyed making it?
Yes.
Skyway Club's been going for 10 years now. This is our 10-year anniversary. We are based down at Ballinafy Community House on the Ummer Road. We meet 5 days a week. We have 5 different groups meet throughout the week. And it is all about the members. It's run by and for people with learning disabilities. And it is just having the freedom and independence of being in the community and getting involved and working with other community groups and being able to just access the local facilities and do pretty much whatever they can think of.
I enjoyed it all right, yeah.
Can you do something like this again in the future?
Yeah. Everybody likes it. All getting the clothes on me. And then the thing in my head. No glasses.
We started off as an alternative to a day centre. People were in the day centres and they decided they wanted a bit more freedom and independence. So then we got a place in Ballinafy Community House, and it is run as much as possible by the members. You have your own committee, and you're the vice chair.
Yep.
Yep. Your own bank account.
Yeah.
And who has to sign the cheques?
Right.
Yep.
With the mystery, do you think it's a hard mystery to solve?
No.
It's not?
No.
So when you're the detective, you must have solved it very quickly.
Yeah.
For our 10-year anniversary, we are actually looking into doing another photography exhibition this year to mark our 10-year anniversary. So now it is just coming up with another theme that can match this, or kind of have the fun and sort of excitement that this kind of built up.
We're delighted that the unveiling has taken place as the first event of the Science Festival. It's very fitting that the first event for the first festival is celebrating one of probably the best scientists ever come from these shores. It's about time we feel that John Bell gets the recognition. He's recognised throughout the world, throughout various cities, from Germany right through to Canada. There's tributes to John Bell, that's how important he is, and it's about time we feel that Belfast recognise that as well.
John Bell has been named as one of the top 10 physicists of the last century, and the reason for that is because he was able to understand the nature of reality in a way that even Einstein couldn't. So, you know, the fact that this man came from Tate's Avenue, grew up in Belfast, and was able to revolutionise the world of physics, and a lot of his theories now are being used in a revolution which is things like quantum computing, teleportation, cryptography. So we owe a lot to the work of this fantastic physicist from Belfast.
It's wonderful to be here because a man from Belfast proved Einstein wrong. Not just a man from Belfast, from Tate's Avenue actually. And when you look into what he did, I mean, I have to say I can't quite understand the full physics of it, but I do know that people talk about it being world-changing, and I just think that's great to celebrate.
Well, first of all, we knew him as Uncle Stuart, obviously. His father was John Bell, so within the family he was always called Stuart. He actually went away to do his PhD in Birmingham not that long after I was born, but we saw him a couple of times a year through certainly all of my childhood.
Yes, and I was the same. You know, he just came home and it was Uncle Stuart sitting on the couch and playing with you. And
what kind of a man was he?
Perhaps you would describe him as a little eccentric. Certainly, perhaps his thought patterns and ours didn't match, certainly as children. He was quite individualistic.
And is it a great honour for the family that they're naming a street after him?
Yes, it is wonderful. He has been a great inspiration to the family because certainly when I think across the Bell cousins, nearly all of us have gone on to tertiary level education.
The wonderful thing about John Bell as well is that he is a son of Belfast, and he didn't go to a big expensive grammar school. He went to the Belfast Technical College, which is now the Belfast Met. So it's a fantastic role model, and we just need to get this story out here, that we, around the world, people know that John Bell came from Belfast, so people here in Northern Ireland have to celebrate that too.
John Bell's the perfect story. He grew up in humble beginnings in Tate's Avenue and went on to change the world, and he's still changing it to this very day, and it just goes to show the level of talent that has come from these shores. John Bell's just one of a number of real top level scientists that have come from here. We really do punch above our weight in the level. And even to this very day, we've scientists that are changing the world in medical research, in engineering, in computing. So John Bell's the perfect story that should inspire a new generation of kids as well.
This is a man that came from Tate's Avenue, who didn't have any money, went to the tech, sort of funded his way through it, and eventually some people said, you know what, you seem to know what you're talking about, here's a few bob, and get on and did it. And it just proves that it doesn't matter where you come from or what your background is, you can really change the world. And I think that's the bit that really inspires people. So anybody that's out there that thinks, I want to go and do something, John Bell should be the encouragement for them.
Well, the Science Festival it's run over 11 days, over 100 events, and the idea is that we want to embed science, technology, engineering and maths into our culture. We all know that it's very important to get our young people to study STEM subjects. Some people might find them a wee bit unappetising, say. So the Science Festival is there to bring science across to people in a fun way and an entertaining way. So there's events on for all ages.
Science is in our everyday lives. You know, there's nothing that impacts on human society more than science.
Belfast and Northern Ireland was always science and engineering orientated. And if we can get back to that, we get jobs for everybody, we get a growing economy, and things are a lot better for all of us.